UPR, UPR. Six-Park Rangers are on the up and up. UPR, UPR. Now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to Open All Hours, a QPR podcast that never leaves early. I had to say something because it can't be ignored. Right, tonight I'm Paul Finney and I'm joined with three other QPR fans. Stuart, Morley, first time appearance and welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's very good of you to come down and help us out.
I'll try my best.
And you're one of the few people who's actually worn a QPR shirt to the QPR podcast. I kind of like that. It gets us in the mood.
There's a connection between the podcast and being on a podcast, so QPR seems to be the connection. I might as well wear something.
Yeah, exactly. And it might as well be hoops. Rahul, welcome back again. You're getting quite the podcaster these days. Welcome back. How are you keeping?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Stayed till the end of the match yesterday, so feeling a bit virtuous and morally superior to the others. Just kidding.
That's Rahul, by the way, everyone. He's not on Twitter. And a bit of a first. Welcome, Joe. I don't know why it took us so long to get you on. Joe Hylton's with us tonight. Everyone will know Joe because you can't miss him, really.
Evening, Paul.
How are you, big man? You all right?
Yeah. All right. I'm glad that we're doing it tonight, the podcast, and not straight after the game last night because my comments would not have been able to be broadcast.
What were they then?
Well, they were, let's say they weren't conservative.
Oh, okay. This is a non-political podcast, by the way. We're not allowed to mention things like that. Right, what are we going to talk about? Okay, first of all, let's talk about the match itself. Rahul, what was your first impressions of the 90 minutes before it all went a wee bit mad?
I thought Holloway really had a pretty negative approach to the match, and we really were set up in a very, very strange way, playing two strikers, playing Mackie on the left wing. He couldn't play any proper crosses. Playing Cousins couldn't cross the ball. Bidwell couldn't cross the ball. There just seemed to be no approach until we finally brought on Smith, and even then we played without a real winger for about 15 minutes until he brought on Lualua and Zolek. So it was absolutely terrible. Brentford were the much better team, and we really had no approach to the match for the first 90 minutes or so.
Stuart?
Well, yes, the formation and the setup wasn't what I was expecting. I have an issue with Cousins being played in that position. Where Furlong is, I have no idea. I wish he was there. You might as well just blood the guy. Mackie, once again, for all his effort and work rate, that's not the position he should be playing in. Freeman not used properly out on the right-hand side. I get what Holloway's probably trying. And the two up front I can get because Washington does work with somebody, but does he work up top with the man who was beside him yesterday? Probably not. It sort of reeks of this sort of old redknapp thing of you play players for the sake of playing them to show what you're lacking in terms of squad depth, but it just didn't really work out, and we lucked out in the end, I think, really.
Joe?
Well, I just thought at the kickoff there was the atmosphere just reflected what we were about to see. It was dull, it was flat. There was absolutely nothing from anywhere, and the first half, not picking on anyone in particular, but there wasn't any real positive play, I didn't think. And I think anyone who's seen the past few games against Brentford know exactly how they're going to play, and they play with wide men when they've got the ball. As soon as they lose possession of the ball, they condense the play. And we just don't seem to have an answer to it, and I don't know why, because it's 11v11, not 11v10. And the whole game just seemed to progress like that until they got their first goal. And then their manager...
Smith.
Dean
Smith.
Sorry?
Dean Smith.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what his name is.
Well, you looked at everyone to get his name and you said it doesn't matter. Anyway, sorry, Dean Smith.
He
Listen, Dean. Don't
he
take a dog for a walk. You can't hang on to the lead. Sorry, carry on.
He completely changed the tactics, and he took off his aggressive players and brought defenders on. And I was saying I was saying a few non-conservative words. You've told me about that already, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Oh yeah, okay.
and I thought, well, they're just going to... And we became more aggressive because they were sitting back more, but we couldn't capitalise on it. And of course, then the breakaway, I'm screaming, they're going to have a breakaway here. And they did. 2-0. And I was saying before we went on air, that is the first time I've walked out in years. I was so disgusted. I thought, I cannot walk down South Africa Road listening to those prats mouthing off because they want us as a rival. And in the nearly on 50 years I've been supporting QPR. We've never played them. And for them to be in the Championship is like QPR being in the Champions League. It's massive for them. They're a small club, and they're batting above their average at the moment. That's how I feel. They did play better than us. You know, hand on my heart, I don't like to say it. They did play better than us, and we got back to the car. I had the biggest strop on. Me and the missus weren't talking. She did not want to leave Loftus Road, and I said, "No, we're going. We're going. I'm not having this. This is bollocks. I can't stand it." And we got back to the car, and she said, "Put 505 on," and I said, "No, bollocks to that as well. We're not. we're not listening to it." But reluctantly, I put it on, and I swear, as soon as I put it on, Smithy scored. And I went, "Wow, yeah, there you go. There's a consolation. Yeah, go on. That's not bad." And we just got down to Hammersmith because we're going back to Surrey. We just got down to Hammersmith, and Freeman scored. And fuck me, it was like, I don't know if you've seen that episode with Fools and Horses where Del Boy and Rodney got all the money for that watch, and they were sat outside. Me and Kath just went absolutely tilting. The car was, the Mini was going all over the place. I thought if the old Bill were behind me, I'll get a tug for drink driving, and I hadn't had a drink at all. And it was, but we going over Hammersmith Bridge, the silence kicked in again. She blamed me, and there was hardly anything spoken until we got to Putney Vale. But there you go.
So basically, your trip home was quite eventful.
It was non-eventful.
All right, okay.
Non-eventful, and I didn't get
the bridge.
And I didn't get my cup of Ovaltine when I got indoors either.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm kind of been thinking about this all day because obviously we have to approach with caution what we think of what Holloway said, and I'm kind of in two minds about it because my take on the game was that formation-wise, you mentioned the four wingers, right? What I didn't understand was if you take it back again to Derby, because I was at Derby last week. We had three strikers on the bench and a winger player as a striker. Never mind the crowd leaving early. What message does that give to the players? If you're going to put a winger on the bench, on the pitch and keep your strikers on the bench, and you go 2-0 down and you bring them on, you're chasing the game, blah, blah. And I kind of think, in my opinion last night, I was browned off because I hate losing to Brentford. Not because they're rivals or anything like that, I suppose they are in some ways, but because I got chased by Brentford fans once and I thought they were Stoke supporters. And you know, that's how much we dislike Brentford. I couldn't even tell their shirt from a Sunderland shirt or a Stoke shirt or whatever. I mean, I'd probably recognise the Exeter shirt before I recognise a Brentford shirt. And that's not being condescending.
Well, basically, playing Brentford really was a pre-season friendly.
That's right.
Well, when I'm 32. When I was 10, 11 years old, if I QPR were away and I couldn't afford with my dad to go to an away game and Brentford were at home, I'd go there because I wanted to watch a game of football, and I was only 10 years old. It wasn't like, oh, well, they're a rival and I'm going to go, I don't know if I should go at Brentford. It's like, there's a game of football, it's local to me because I'm a West London lad. I'll go at Brentford because I can't afford to go at QPR away because I'm 10 and they ain't playing at home, so just go see Brentford.
But the thing is, they created this rivalry. But my beef is they beat us too many times. Yeah. And I think the reason I think people left last night is
they are actually beating us. We're not losing to them. There's a big difference. They're beating us.
They caned us at their place, and they caned us in the whatever that League Cup thing's called.
The League Cup, yeah.
And it's I personally have
Caribou.
I've personally had enough of losing to Brentford. I've had really enough of losing to freaking Fulham, I can tell you that much. But losing to Brentford and losing on the derbies, I'd have enough. So I do understand why people left. I didn't leave. I got slaughtered on Twitter because, stupidly, hold my hands up, no passion, humiliation, I'm fed up, I'm fecked off, blah, blah, blah. And then we scored and I'm like going, that's not bad. Then we scored again. Delete tweet. Too late. Everyone had freaking screenshot it. Had it, which, you know what? I'm happy with that. And everyone would give me shade for it. I don't care. I'd rather get shade for being an idiot with a phone than us losing. And their fans were absolutely distraught. When they were coming down South Africa Road last night, they were distraught. I mean, we're having a wee bit of fun with them, like, and saying, like, not being fun.
No, you weren't having fun, Paul. You were taking a piss, mate.
I might have mentioned a few things about messing things up, and that even Heathrow was bigger than them in Middlesex, and these sort of things. And they were good at it, because this to them is their biggest away game of the season. But do you know what the real worry was? We'll go on about Holloway in a second. The empty seats. This is not good. I mean, even the Brentford section, they hate us with a passion. You know that, Joe, as well as I do.
Yeah.
Not sold out.
No.
I mean, a Brentford QPR match, I don't care about Sky. It should be a sold-out affair.
It should be a 3:00 Saturday anyway for a start.
Agree, 100%. Yeah,
but that's Sky, isn't it? Every time we played Brentford or Fulham, they won it on TV. Christ knows why, but they do. And and as it would be, it was a good game to have because of the last few minutes. Because that came out of nowhere. I mean, Brentford, either they didn't realise what was going on, or we suddenly realised they're not actually that good. We can get behind them, and it's a strange thing because. And then celebrating that, taking the mickey out of their fans, and then people are coming saying, "Have you heard what Ian Holloway said? Have you heard this? Have you seen this?" And they show me on their phones. Like,
see, I didn't find that out until about 10:00 this morning. The Holloway comments.
It's so QPR. It is. You quite literally you could have scripted that to a point where it's not even funny anymore.
No,
people start leaving. You go, "Oh yeah, that's."
It's
fine.
almost the shock jock thing, isn't
yes.
it? With Ollie.
Yeah,
I mean, I've read the comments from everyone. I say everyone. I've read it basically on Twitter, and I just think take it on the chin from us.
Okay.
Take it on the chin, because Forest the other week, we got smashed at Forest. The first 15 minutes without going over old ground, and I just thought. This is a continuation from Wolves and Sheffield United and Bolton and Sunderland, where we should have had maximum points. And we kick off against Forest, and within 30 seconds, we should have been one up. Right. Definitely should have been one up. And then Jack Robinson, who the lad has come on so much since he's come back, being plagued with all those injuries. I think he's been phenomenal in the roles that he's played at the back. And I thought he had a stonking game last night. Some of the tackles that he put in, he's ultra fit. He's really working for the badge, for the club, for his position.
Smart defender as well, a very smart defender.
Yeah.
Considering he's had to move into centre half as well.
Yeah, and just one mistake at Forest, and they had the breakaway, and the heads dropped. The heads went down, and I said to my mates and my wife around me. There was about 15 minutes to half-time. I said, if he can get him in to half-time, maybe park the bus at the start of the second half, suck him in a bit and go for the break. Because we got the players, certainly in the midfield we have. But no, they hit us. They hit us just before half-time, and it was game over, wasn't
That's a familiar theme at the moment, and not really holding on until half-time or even like.
But even last night, we're looking at the clock and we're going. It's 43, 44. We're still in with this, and bang! The man in black blows the whistle, and you think, yeah, that's it. We got to half time, regroup. You've seen what they're about, but he's not working out this what I call concertina play, where they put their wide men out when they've got the ball, and the midfield players they're playing the ball blind. They're just picking them, and then when they lose it, they come in.
Exactly. And the other problem with that, too, is they were playing kind of an imbalanced 4-4-2 where you had Mackey on the left wing. Freeman nominally was on the right wing, but he was also playing into a free role. And behind Freeman, you have Cousins, who's not a right back, playing out of position. So he's regularly having the attack come down, and he has no cover because Freeman is on the other side of the pitch playing a free role. And this was repeatedly happening over and over and over again. And for some reason, Ollie just didn't say to Freeman, stay on the right side, provide him cover. And we just got torn apart down the flanks because of this imbalance. And it was so obvious watching watching from where I was sitting, and I just couldn't believe that the same thing happened over and over again. It just seemed that Ollie didn't have a plan, and exactly what you said, the wide play was so obvious, and it just.
But they've done it. I've picked that up the first time that we played them at Loftus Road. They did it, and Hylton scored, and we beat them 3-0. And they played the same way, and it was a different manager then. Was it Warburton? I can't remember.
I think
Who cares?
it was Robertson.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone, yeah,
Exactly.
You would say.
Yeah.
But going back to the Holloway comments, what got me is, I mean, listen, he's entitled to be smug. He's entitled to have a wee bit of a sideways glance and a cheeky little grin at the camera and say, "What did you boys miss?" and girls. But I'm not so sure about the "don't come back" bit of it. And the anger in that really did worry me and did stress me out a wee bit, because I'm just kind of thinking, we need unity, we need everyone together. And it was basically the hardcore there last night. That was your 11,000 hardcore.
Yes.
And what worries me, if Ian's going to need those fans on his side, the way our season's going, because we're winning and losing, and away form is shocking. So he will need them on his side. And he's kind of created a them and us thing now. So, well,
it'll be interesting Saturday at Preston.
Yeah, but the thing is, Joe, I'm not either a massive fan of Holloway or dislike him. I mean, I do go on Twitter, as you know. I'm always on frickin' Twitter. But there's some people who generally seem to enjoy us losing. And I don't get that. So they can be right.
It's a tie.
The same usual suspects.
You know, this guy's shite. I've proved the point. I hate that, because I'd never want Rangers to lose. Even when Paul Hart was manager, I'd never want QPR to lose. You know, I mean, you go back to Morley and things like that. You know, you might want them to leave, but you don't want your club to lose.
No.
And then you got the ones on the other side of it who are saying, like, with FFP, with everything, we were restricted. We're not that restricted. There's a lot of them players that were playing last night who we paid millions for. Like, forget everything else, and they're on decent money. I don't think Brentford have got the budget we've got, for sure.
No, they definitely haven't.
So,
but they've picked up some. They seem to be trading the right way. When I say that, they've got their scouting network seems to be working for them. I mean, the lad with the blonde streak last night. I mean,
very decent. It's troubling at times to see him run at us. Yeah,
absolutely ripped us to
He
pieces.
speaks very good
But not
English.
only that, they
got
let
the chance.
They let the lad alone. He had the freedom of Loftus Road on both wings, both flanks. Time after time after time he was there, and he had a free. He was almost had a free roll like Warnock gave Adele.
Yeah,
Adele
around,
could.
in
Adele
the
just went around
half,
and just and had a wave to people in the crowd, and then got the ball, did his thing, and the lad is skillful.
Yeah.
You know.
But going back to the comments, because I will finish in a second once we get this off our chest. Well, you kind of agreed with him in some ways, that we had a conversation about this beforehand. So, what did you think?
Yeah, so I actually do agree with Holloway in some respects, although I would caveat in saying it wasn't just that we played poorly yesterday for the first 90 minutes. This is also a continuation of 2 or 3 years of pretty crappy play. And for the fans who actually go to the away fixtures, we haven't won a match since February.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just 90 bad minutes of football. It's been a lot of bad football. Having said that, and again, I basically live like a 16-year-old boy. I have no adult responsibility, so I'm able to stay till the end of the match. But I do think that is a time when, as fans, we should be sticking around and supporting our team to the very end and giving
absolutely.
them that little bit of a push. I understand the frustration, but that doesn't excuse what Holloway said. It's just so. It's so slapstick. It's just so pathetic to hear your manager.
But the thing is, Ian Holloway is the type of person. That's what makes him. He changes gear without sinking the clutch, without engaging the brain. It just comes out.
Fantastic.
Now, if Ollie could do that interview maybe 2 hours later, instead of having a microphone shoved under his nose straight away, then he'd have time to calm himself. We're all the same.
Heat of the moment. Yeah.
As I said, if we'd have done this straight after the game, there's no way you could broadcast what I would say. And
you wouldn't get me after a freedom defeat, I can tell you that much. Well, losing that time, we lost 6-1 to the Scum.
But for him to say what he said, I take that on the chin. He's included me because I walked out. Hand up. I am ashamed of myself, and hopefully my wife will forgive me, and I'll get my Ovaltine.
This is a podcast. It's not marriage freaking guidance counsel here, son. You get yourself into trouble. That's
But
your problem.
if you cast your mind back to the last game of last season, Norwich away, 4-0, and there was over 2,000 hoops
Big
at
following.
that game.
Yep.
and every one of those players, with the exception of Mark Bircham, pissed off at the end. No one came over to acknowledge the support.
That's a fair point.
So it swings and roundabouts. You know, people decide, you pay your money, you're entitled to do what you want to do. I normally condemn people that walk out, but because it was that lot that play under the shadow of the M4 flyover, that is what really pissed me off, because they believe they're superior to us. At the moment, they're holding all the cards, but the cards will change.
Or you should.
The cards will
doesn't make
change.
great podcasting, but that face was something I'd love to have put on Twitter, because that was serious from Joe there. That was
The
deep.
thing is, they do hate us. There's no two ways about it. And it is a big game, which is fair enough. Our big games away to Chelsea, their big games away to Rangers.
Well, the thing is, you don't go and hope, as you were saying, Paul, you don't go to QPR or whoever you support to see your team lose. You go there for one reason, and that's to see your team win.
But Joe, do we and Rahul and Stuart, do we draw a line under it and say, right, he said that, he's apologised, which he has done?
Yeah. You're not going to dwell on this. You know, next week you'll do the podcast with another 3 QPR fans, and it's old news.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I probably would say, with all due respect to Holloway, and it was brought up by a few of my friends on WhatsApp and all old ASB, been mentioned before. Would it be helpful if someone was alongside Ollie, like what Kenny Jackett used to be, who had a calmer head, who could take into nothing beside
You've hit the nail on the
Bircham?
head, Stuart.
Yeah, just somebody who could say, it's not me, other people mentioned it, I'm bringing it up, but somebody who was assistant coach Webber. Birch is great, but maybe he's not that guy to calm him down. He could just say, wait, Ian, before you go and say this, just think about it and then go in front of the cameras. You're right, Ollie says what's in his heart, and we love that, and that's part of the reason why he's been brought in. But
this is
a second.
We all know this isn't a new thing with Ollie. What he said yesterday evening, it's not a new thing. Before he got sacked the first time round, he offered every QPR supporter out. I can't remember what game it was, and people were livid about it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But again, he didn't engage.
Who was that? He did. He said he'd come around my house and
my house and I'll fight everyone individually in my front garden.
I would tell you so. I was wrongly when I used to be in the LSA and I was spokesperson. I was wrongly quoted in a paper, which is not hard to do because I probably emailed him. But never mind. And he didn't like it, so he ranted at me for 2 hours. As it turns out, it was someone being mischievous, which I explained to Ian. But 2 hours, I had to hold the phone away from my ear and listen to him say the same thing. So his passion is
right.
His passion's
I can't wait.
Is yeah. He goes, you go tell Daddy Shittu he's a shit defender. I was like, no thanks. I never said that. And his passions are, he doesn't think, but he hasn't had anyone since Kenny Jackett that kind of Kenny Jackett. Although he's quiet on everything else, he seems to be quiet. He's no messing. Kenny Jackett's a tough.
We
man.
don't take any prisoners.
He is
Kenny.
a tough man. Believe you me, that bloke.
I've spoken with Kenny a few times. He's a really nice man,
but
he knows shit.
He's hard as nails. Yeah. So that's a good point. I think Bircham has a rule at QPR, and I think Holloway has a rule at QPR because I was talking to me about this today. We were kind of round about it, and it was a case of right. We wanted someone who cares about QPR. We wanted someone with passion. We wanted someone to come back after Hasselbank, after Redknapp, after all them Hughes, whatever of these people coming in, not understanding, not wanting to understand us, not getting us, not caring, the culture and everything else. You can't deny Ian's got passion.
Oh, no.
You cannot deny that Bircham knows how much it means to beat Fulham and Brentford and try and get as close as we can to the top of this table and have pride back in them hopes. He gets all that. But you're right, Stuart. Sometimes I watch it a lot. Like when we scored against Millwall and that, and he was giving it the dance, I'd like someone to say, Ian, we've got to play them away, mate. And you're not helping yourself.
Yeah, but give it large here. Give it large. What happens away from home? Take it on. Just take it on the chin.
But calming influence, because maybe he just needs someone to give him 5 seconds and say, right.
You are right, but no. At Loftus Road, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, I'll take that back then. But the other
you can only get killed once.
Yeah, but once
not if you're Hindu like myself.
Do
Jesus might have a bit of an issue with you with that one as well. The thing is, that I take that back. But I would say, as a QPR fan, Ian, don't respond in a negative way, because we've come back into the game, everyone's buzzing, and immediately sides are being drawn on Twitter, which is always happens, because some people do sadly enjoy us losing. I can't get my head around that. I never will. It's weird. So that's we are. Bring everyone together now. Get everyone together. Stop all this bickering and shouting about and arguing. It's doing my head in.
He did the same last year. If you remember, we played Wolves on the Thursday night. What's that all about? Thursday football.
They're trying to do the Premiership now on a Friday, so there doesn't seem to be any Thursday matches now. Just Sky being dicks, really.
Well, it's because they've lost the Champions League and the UEFA Cup, whatever it's called now, Europa League. Sorry. And we played Wolves and we lost right at the end, if you remember rightly. They scored a late one. And his post-match interview straight away, because it was sparse. The Rangers support was sparse. It's a Thursday night. So we've lost all the Rangers fans that are coming from maybe Ireland, the lads, George that comes over from Germany.
He was over last night, George.
He was over last night. And you know where I'm coming from. It's just the ones from the home counties and London. And he said, where's all the... And he's beating his chest. Where are they? Where are they? Where were they tonight when we needed them? I thought, fuck's sake, Ollie. You know, it's a Thursday night.
Give it a chance.
You know, some people... My missus broke her back to get there. She was down in Farnborough. She teaches in Farnborough. And down the M3. And it was the night that they paid tribute to the Chilean football team that had passed away. And Kath just got into the ground just as they were doing the tribute to the Chilean lads. And he comes out with that afterwards. You know, there's nothing about... I don't know what... I can't remember what the gate was, about 11,000 maybe.
It wasn't many.
It wasn't. It was a low gate. But this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. He doesn't engage the brain.
Just comes out. No, it has no filter.
But I see it
exactly,
differently. I see it differently. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Because he's not stupid. Ian Holloway he's not stupid.
So what are you saying? He's got it scripted. He's got
Paul.
No, what I'm saying is that with Ian, he's right, and those who walked out were wrong, and he's telling you that he was right, and you should have stayed there because he knew what he was doing all along, kind of thing. Of like, don't give up on us. We're going to fight to the end. I was right. I had faith in my lads. You didn't. Therefore, you're this. You're that. Humbleism would have been better. You know, you've left the ground early. I wish you hadn't, because by God, that was some comeback, and you could have seen them Brentford fans leave the ground.
Well, that cross-references his actual apology today, which came out an hour or two. Like he said there.
Well done, the QPR media team.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So they do. Ian and Paul and everyone else there, fantastic job. Exactly.
But he didn't say sorry.
Yeah, well,
he said, "I apologise, but."
Yeah. It was.
It's a shame because anyway, we're going to draw a line under it, hopefully. But I would just say that don't let it affect how we think of the next few fixtures.
Yeah,
we're still
I agree. I agree.
And not a great place. We can't be turned on each other. Let's all try and be nice to each other after games on Twitter, on Facebook. Sit down and say
it's not going to happen.
I mean, 15. I mean, exactly. I mean, some people would like talk about last night. They said, "Oh, do you know what? If this had happened, if that had happened," I was thinking to myself, if Smithies hadn't made 3 world-class saves, they'd have been out of the second
half. First half.
You know, Smithies was made some of the saves he made
but
last night.
But the niceness you're talking about, it's not going. I've got more chance waking up with Carol Vorderman in the morning. It's not going to happen.
You got a problem with your
set your sights quite high there, Joe.
You got serious issues with maths and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. That was our engineer laughing. That's never happened before. Neil, calm yourself. Anyway, so Stuart, what would you say to Ian to bring the fans? What advice would you give Ian saying how to get those fans who maybe wavering back on side?
It's hard. I mean, I was very lucky to have worked with the aforementioned Ian and Paul in the press department for quite a few years. After the inception of QPR World, and Billy Rice, I was speaking with Joe about earlier, and worked there when Ollie worked there the first time round. He is the most honest, Joe, you've met him. I'm pretty sure most of us probably actually met him. The most honest, likeable guy, heart in his sleeve. But I would probably say that if he was just honest and said that we were trying and he's trying his best and just kept it simple and honest with his selection and his tactics and admitted when he was wrong, people would probably actually warm to him a bit more. like you've said before in the last few minutes, that Twitter, social media faction comes into play immediately as soon as he says something which has a tiny sense of negativity about it. It's like having like a fishing rod. Instead of having just a little bit of bait on it, you throw a massive piece of meat on it.
Yeah.
And you go, he throws it into the river and he just attracts sharks instead of little fish.
You can
almost calm it down.
You can almost hear Paul Morrissey acting like a sheepdog, trying to steer him away from what he's saying and putting him into a more comfortable zone.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work.
Well, those guys in the media department, they've been through literally the mill in the last 10 to 12 years, and they're still there. They haven't jumped ship. They've gone through all the Briatore, all the bits and pieces, all the stuff that probably can't be mentioned within this podcast, and they're probably the guys to listen to. Ollie, he's probably so strong-willed that he wants to actually rise above that and go, well, I can do this. I don't need to have this support, this help. But they just need to stick together as a group and go, right, let's assess this before and after each game and then come out and say something. There's nothing wrong with Ollie's honest opinion and his passion for when he wants to say it, but maybe at times you need to be a clever little bastard and go, right, let's play the game here. And then,
there's nothing wrong with smugness. Smugness is fine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. It's just about how no matter what area you work in, whether you're a cab driver, whether you work in interior design like me, whether you're, producing a podcast like my man here to my left, you've got to play the game to a point where the final product is what is best. Simple as that.
You missed out Rahul's job.
And Rahul's job, who is
He's a
that's
stripper.
the smartest guy who has.
He's
sex on legs
The world's
right here
ugliest
with a
stripper,
notepad of stuff.
No, but the thing is, I just hope that we don't get negativity about it. I hope that everyone just moves away from it. I had my say on it on social media, and as I made an absolute dick of myself by what I said last night, can I just apologise to QPR? I'm a bad man, and I love being proved wrong, and I'll do that every week as long as we don't lose. I don't mind being picked on. I'll take that all day long, because it was almost like the playoff final, wasn't it? But kind of, and then this happens. It's almost like winning the playoff final. Redknapp comes out with, we didn't put it past him. I hate this club. You're all weird. Waving your flags. That's not support, that sort of thing. And it kind of started a wee bit, when in fact it was what Ian had done by putting Smith on and changing tactics was brilliant. And it totally chased the course of the game. And Freeman...
Matt Smith, I thought, was outstanding.
I'll tell you another thing. If that game had gone another minute longer, Freeman would have beat every single one of them players and put the keeper on his arse and tackle past him, because he was on fire at them last minutes. So, leads us on to, where do we go from here? Joe, Preston Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one, eh?
I haven't even thought about it. You put me on the spot. I haven't thought about it. I'm going up there. I would take a draw now.
Okay.
I would take a draw, a 1-1. They're not a bad side.
No,
I watched that championship programme on a Sunday morning.
They played Norwich, didn't they? Neil went back to Norwich, yeah. They were decent.
Yeah, and they're a decent side. The black lad with the dreadlocks always causes us problems.
Daniel Johnson, he used to be at Villa,
Always.
He's a Canadian international, I think.
Yeah, he controls the play for them the whole time. You take him out of the game, they can't do anything else apart from play the ball to Hugo up front. So it'll be hard.
Yeah, he's a good player, but it's also a good little ground actually. Preston, nice place to
watch.
It
is, and they're good supporters up there. They haven't got a massive fan base, but it's a nice ground. They've done it right. As they built up the old Deepdale, so it hasn't moved. It's still in the same place.
That's right. Yeah.
And they've got the football museum outside.
Brilliant place. Yeah, if you've got a few hours to spare beforehand, go there. Yeah.
They've also got the
and if you leave early from the match, you can also go there.
They've also got the aptly named Finney's Bar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we'll steer clear of that.
You may well never see me in a bar, I tell you. Now, Rahul, what do you think we go from here? Is this a turning point? Is this the moment that we look back in 6 months' time and say, that was the day that Rangers turned it around?
The short answer, I would say, is no. And actually what was troubling to me after the match was Ollie's comments. He made it seem like as if we had actually played a good game and got unlucky when the result was a total fluke. It was an absolute fluke, and there are some major issues with our team, with our formation. I hate to sound negative, but And the reality is we're not anywhere near the Villas, the Wolves of the world. We're also not as bad as some of the teams at the bottom of the table. So this is going to be our season. It's going to be up and down. We'll lose 2.
Expected anyway.
We'll win 1. We'll draw 1, and we'll end up kind of where we are.
I agree.
So we need to,
that.
we need to calibrate our expectations. But I also think Ollie just needs to figure out tactics because, I mean, looking at the subs bench yesterday, there just seems to be no plan, no long-term plan. I mean, you need to be thinking 1 or 2 moves ahead. So we go down 1. Let's say we had gone up 1-0 and we were trying to protect the lead. How many defensive players were on our bench yesterday? Not one. Not even one. Our most defensive player was Goss. I mean, how could you manage a team and have 0
and we got
defensive
midfielder
players?
right back already.
Then his first substitution always is Smith. Okay, you bring on Smith. What wingers were on the pitch? 0. He waited 15 minutes to bring on a winger. I mean, and Smith was terrorizing.
And then he brought 2 on.
Yeah, he brought 2 on, and Lua, who's, well, I'll save that for later. But
Yeah.
but
God, I love that boy. When we signed him, even though it was on loan, I loved him. But he's not.
I mean,
it's not.
Smith was just absolutely destroying the center backs, and he was clearly giving them issues. And for 15 minutes,
no one's picking up the second ball.
Exactly, no one's picking up the second ball. We had no one to play across, and then finally he made the double switch and brought in Pavel and Lua. But I mean, how could you play 20 minutes with Smith by himself without a proper winger? I mean, these are things he needs to sort out.
Him, haven't you?
You have to.
You've got to feed Smithy. Yeah.
Got to feed the lanky one. Stuart, how do you see it going?
I think Rahul put it perfectly well. You know that it's not negative, it's not positive. You just have to roll with the punches. It's going to be a case of I could quite literally repeat what he's just said in terms of you'll win 1, you'll draw 1, you'll lose a couple, then you'll win 2, and then you'll draw 1. It'll be consistent through till probably the end of February. And this whole sort of idea of that, you know, you've got these injuries and we're down to bare bones. Yeah, but it happens to like plenty of other squads. Yeah, the upper echelon squads like the Villas and the Wolves and stuff who have brought in X amount of money and managers. Yeah, we've done that before, and we've got
yeah,
exactly. We've got
our pants pulled down.
Yeah, exactly, and then that's happened. But right now, all we can really do is play with what we've got. Trouble is, Ollie seems to be just like shuffling a pack of cards and throwing them on the table and going, 21. He's like playing a random game of blackjack and going, a load of cards will make this number. It doesn't make sense.
In his defence, he hasn't got a defence.
True.
Because we've been just ripped to pieces there.
Yeah, and defenders we have brought in, like Baptiste was supposed to be a backup, and he's played very well. He has been sussed out.
That first game, he's
been sussed out in terms of the formation we played at times. As aforementioned, he's been pulled out when we played the back 3, and we haven't had the right wing back. Teams have sussed us out by playing the diagonal ball into the channel, and he's been sucked out, and they played an early ball in. But at some point, Ollie must have gone in the summer buying 1 backup centre half. You need more than 1 backup centre half, and he's lucked out with Robertson being able to shift across and massively relying on that guy's intelligence with his upbringing at Liverpool. He's probably gone. He's smart enough to stuck in there and still play Bidwell out left, but you need somebody else to still come in and do something.
Someone with experience who sounds like Clint Hill.
Oh yeah, well, I spend a lot of time watching the Football League show after our highlights and watching Carlisle games under a microscope and seeing Hill
scored the other day. Yeah,
he scored, and like even I think whatever the result was for Carlisle the other night, they let in a goal, and I was watching it. I was like, he's still effed off about letting in a goal, and he's still dictating their play. I'm like, screw him playing League 2. You know, we missed the trick there. Whatever happened?
You can't tell me that Carlisle can produce a better contract for Clint Hill than QPR.
The only thing,
even with this FFP shit that's going on,
the only thing which could have made any amount of difference to that would have been location. I can only assume that because of his northern roots and his family. Maybe I don't know, but my cynical side goes, if you're not, he's asked for X amount to stay in London. We haven't offered it, and he's gone, well, no, I need this much or I'm going back up north, and he's done that. Fair play to him. He's literally one of my favourite players in the last 10-15 years.
But no disrespect to Carlisle.
It's Carlisle.
I know. That's the.
But that's when the club came out and said we can't agree terms, and then he goes to Carlisle. You're like going, I'm not being funny, but really.
Yeah. What were the terms? How on earth did that happen? It's ridiculous.
Well, no. Maybe he enjoyed Scotland so much he just wanted to be near it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm sure we could have. Maybe it was Carlisle were going to give him a year deal, and we were going to give him a 6-month deal.
He should never have been left go from QPR.
Well, no, she'd fall in if you're going to be honest.
Well, no.
Both of them.
Well,
And
they've both been on here, and you and Fraser and everyone else has made the point live that would you come back in any other capacity apart from a player or work with the club? And they've all said yes.
Totally.
And somebody somewhere must have gone, that's an open goal for us. Go offer them whatever and bring them back in on another capacity, whether it's player coach, just coach, or player on a slightly longer contract than what we could offer.
Not to detract anything from the game for Grenfell, but the reception that Clint got
I know.
the game for Grenfell, it was...
But the
And
thing
he
is,
treated it like an actual game of football. It wasn't
Yeah,
for him. It was like, I'm going to 100% fully commit to this.
And he almost scored at the loft end as well.
I think the thing as well is his popularity, perhaps as well. Ian felt a little bit uncomfortable with that,
maybe.
because
Put
and
his nose
also
out of joint a bit.
and because if you remember back to the playoffs at Wigan, Clint was pulling the shots away from home big style. He was changing that formation. He's bright as well. He's got maybe there's a wee bit of that. Ian was like thinking, do I want someone breathing over my shoulder who's popular, knowing the way QPR work?
But really, if your ego gets in the way of that, then you should be big enough as a manager to see that you've got someone out there that can change it. Because screaming from the sidelines and you're out in the middle of the park and there's 20,000 people
Only
at Wigan
goes so far.
and giving it all that. You see, Gordon Jago, going back before you boys used to go down there, Gordon Jago had Terry Venables, and Terry Venables went out there and just run the show. He was absolute quality. He had speed, he had skill, and he ran the show out there. So Gordon Jago and Bobby Campbell just had to sit in the dugout. So I would not have, myself as a QPR supporter, I would not have any problem with Clint Hill running the show out in the park. Ollie should sort of embrace something like that. That's what I believe.
In some ways, the coaching staff of Hill and Bircham isn't that bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of, Birch does bring something to the table. There's no two ways about it, and he gets us, and he's one of us and stuff like that. Remember we had that shirt, Bircham's here at Chelsea and stuff.
Yeah.
He got himself an FA fine.
Yeah.
There's things like
Good
that.
lad.
He is, and he loves the club. The same as Kevin Gallen loves the club. They live and breathe it. They're all part of the QPR culture. They're all part of that 2005 team that backs against the wall, us against
Well, you
the wall.
regularly see Kevin. I've not seen him at Loftus Road. I know he goes there, but away games. The amount of away games that I go to each season, I see him half a dozen times.
He's a Rangers fan. I mean, it's difficult for him.
And we're not talking going to Reading. You'll see Kevin in the Midlands. You'll see him go to Sunderland and places like that. He's top man. He deserves all the respect that he.
Sorry, Joe. When he's been on the programme, he talks as a fan. He doesn't talk as an ex-pro. But there's a case for saying that I love all these guys. Furlong's at the club. He's brilliant. To be fair, I give that whole team a flipping job. Lee Cook, a lot of them, because to me, they were the QPR team that I identified with. Yeah. Maybe apart from the early 80s, that was you could identify with. Actually, in fairness, they did Gary Woodcock and stuff. So yeah, but you know what I mean. You had the kind of the people that are coming through, the Martins, Allens, whatever. So and that side was very similar. Now, a lot has been said about Ainsworth coming back in some capacity as well, but that's possibly too soon. But there is hope for Holloway, and that is that, I don't know which one you said it now because I'm terribly deaf. That if he Stuart said it, sorry, that if he did actually say, you know what, I got it a bit wrong for 90 minutes, but what about the 2 minutes I got it right? Trust me next time, lads. Stay with us and lasses and uncles and aunties, fathers and daughters, whatever. Stay the 90 minutes. And after that 90 minutes, we'll come, you applaud if we deserve it. If we don't applaud, boo me, not the players. People would have understood that more, because it must be frustrating, because there's a person near me, and I'm going to be brutally honest, he boos when they come on the pitch. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's made his mind up before that. Yeah, he's made his mind up.
I don't get the mentality of people like that whatsoever. You go there the idea is to go there. We all get frustrated. It's an entertainment that we're going to see. And
hang on a second, Joe.
Yeah,
we're Queen's Park Rangers fans.
The passion kicks in, and I don't get berating the players when they make something wrong. Whatever.
Especially the kids.
All the jobs that we're sitting around the table here, all the jobs that we do. And if you had someone saying, "No, get your face into that microphone. I can't hear you, you know. And you want to say,
leave Neil alone. He does a great job.
He does a great job.
I remember Sean Walsh did this really good sketch. He was talking about what was that? Jonathan Ross, I think he was on. Maybe, I don't know. And I just was floating around, and because John watches Rangers, I thought I'll watch this. He mentions Rangers, and he came up with the best clip. He's like, "Would you go to Tesco's and just scream at someone who served you badly, like you don't know what you're doing, you this, you that?" And I thought that is actually quite true, because you wouldn't, would you? I mean, if you're driving your cab, you wouldn't get someone going, "Oh, you went the wrong way. You don't know what you're doing," you know.
But knowing Joe, he would turn around and kick him out the cab. It was like, get out, my effing kid.
So football is, I mean, and I guess the whole thing with Ian, and maybe that's why he does work for Rangers, is because he is passionate, he does care, he is in the moment of 5 seconds after a game, he's raging because he's felt he's been proved right. And I guess is that in it as well.
Can I make one controversial
That's
statement?
why we are a podcast. If you get us sued, it's on you, son.
I think we overrate passion. I really do believe that.
Okay.
All right, Massimo Luongo from Australia, Alejandro Forlán from Argentina.
Yeah.
Gina Padula.
Yeah, all these guys. I mean, you don't like all these guys. They may have no affiliation with the club, with the country, with anything. They're all motivated to make money. They're all motivated to keep their job. I don't believe that Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank wanted to win any less than Ian Holloway. Maybe Ian Holloway knows the club more, but I do think we sometimes overrate passion. I mean, every single manager, whether it's the guy at Hull who came from Russia, he wants to win there. He wants to keep his job. He wants to progress his career. I don't think the incentives are different for anyone. And I think that sometimes we think, because Mackey, claps his hands and he screams and he yells, he cares any more than, Josh Scone, who's a relatively quiet guy on the pitch. I think we sometimes overrate that. And all the players, I mean, look at the Brentford players yesterday. They were devastated when they I'll say they lost the match. Even though they just drew, but they were totally crushed. Everyone cares. So I think sometimes we overrate caring, and we should sometimes think maybe more about the technical side of the game and what Ian Holloway is doing wrong, the selection side, all those other things. Sometimes passion, everyone is passionate. No, maybe Redknapp didn't care, but everyone else cared.
I'm sure Redknapp cared to some degree.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he liked getting a check, but
I think what Redknapp did at Rangers with what he did at Birmingham, what he does at every club he goes to, he just fills it with players he knows, because
he's a vampire who sucks them dry.
No, he might be really good friends with the Regents.
Yeah.
No, there's no might. He is.
I'm trying not to get sued.
So
anyway, and as for Mark Hughes and Mike Rigg, what they did, Jesus, wept like a go on all day. But
try not to get sued. Be careful.
I get sued, and then they get a job with the FA. I don't get it. Anyway, we're going to wrap up in a minute because.
Can I just say?
You can say you want, Joe.
I didn't know until today as well, but QPR, all the corner flags were rainbow.
Yeah.
Rainbow flags, what a
it's
lovely.
It's been a football league the whole football league's done.
Okay, right. I didn't know that. But I thought that was a lovely touch. Really, really.
A lot of people were arguing again. Something as every club had their badge changed to the rainbow flag with a badge in the middle. Everyone did it, but of course in the QPR social media world, it ended up being a massive fight over it. Is it right? Is it wrong?
Unbelievable.
The keyboard warriors, it's best. I don't reply to them. You see those crass comments about people who have they come from a different country, a different ethnicity, or a different sexual background. What does it matter if you're wearing what Stuart's got on? Stuart's the only one of us here wearing the hoops. I couldn't give a shit. That's it. That'll do for me.
I've got hoop underpants.
Well, we don't want to know that, Paul.
No, but
can you cut that, Neil?
But the thing is, I haven't really, by the way. The thing, listen, I'll be honest about rainbow and that thing. I think I've been to Brighton away, and it's not pleasant. And I was talking to a Brighton fan about it. Oh, Jesus, just chopped me can of cider. And I was talking to a Brighton fan about it. Well, we were joking and having a laugh, but he goes, we get it every week. He goes, but the only thing is, when some of the chants get really bad and your 6-year-old son says, what does that mean? And you look at them giving it like, so that's not good. And that's not clever. And also, I couldn't care less what colour they are, what creed they are, what sexuality they are, as long as it's consenting adults.
It's 2017.
As long as they go on the pitch and wear the hoops of pride and leave their soul on that pitch. Yeah. Now, for anyone to have a problem with any footballer or any person because of who they fall in love with, it's a bit It's a bit 1900s, isn't it? So hopefully we could all move on. And if you want to slag me off over that, I couldn't give a rat's arse. It's how I feel.
It was like when Clive Wilson signed for QPR, Don Howe signed Clive Wilson. And he wanted to go back, he wanted to go back to Manchester because of all the shit he was getting in the dark side of town. And I believe Les Ferdinand and Danny Maddox had a chat with him and said, listen, it's not like that at QPR. If you come down and put the shirt on and you play the game and entertain the crowd, you'll be fine. But if you're shit, they'll give you shit.
You know what I would worry about? I don't mind if a player comes out as being gay. I don't mind all that. If someone comes out that their hero is John Terry and they really secretly a Chelsea fan,
that's the end of the line.
That could be devastating for all of us. Right, we're actually at the end of the show. We're going to do the odds in now quickly, and then we'll do some predictions. So, Stuart, have you actually thought of anything you'd like to say?
I have something. Yes.
I like the way you said that. It's a bit radio.
Brecci Easy, Ezzy, whatever you call him, is doing a fantastic job at Wickham at the moment.
Goal scoring machine.
And some of the goals he is scoring is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like he 2 in 1 game a few weeks ago. I think he's got something like.
So we bring him back and play him in goal.
Well, yeah. If of the Holloway persuasion, you play him at a right back, wouldn't you? But he's doing a fantastic job considering his age, and also we've nabbed him off Millwall for a start. Ollie has brought this up and has said that they've made a mistake there. What he needs to do is utilise him if and when it comes out, whether it's next season, whoever's like. If you're going to send someone on loan and they're going to do well, make the most of them when they come back, please. Because we've sent players out on loan. We're not like the Man Cities and the Chelseas where we have a farm system which people go from Europe to US and whatever else. Let's make sure that the players that do well from our system come back and we use them properly. Not go, well, let's loan you out again, Oh, and then all of a sudden you're in a Michael Doughty situation where you hit 24, 25 as a good servant and go, sorry, see you later, and end up being still a good professional, but not to our capability. Let's take this guy. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying he's the saviour. He's doing very well. So let's make sure that we can just help him along, bring him back and make the most of him.
I hear you.
And if we can do that with a few more, there are some other players within that system that can do well as well.
But what I would also say is I don't think the club should overhype them.
Yes.
Let them come in,
exactly.
do their job, and get us to love them as they progress.
Unfortunately, I agree with what you're saying, but Ebrey, is that how you pronounce his name? He's getting all the hype now.
That's the trouble.
Sean Derry's been raving about him. Gareth, obviously, because he's playing for him.
Yeah.
2 well-respected players by QPR fans.
It's how you stagnate that slightly for when they come back. That's the difference.
I can see a place for him and young Paul Smith in January.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
On the bench because they're both getting really good reviews in their different levels, and maybe not blood them too soon, but be a hell of an improvement on the bench at times that you can bring them on.
There's also Bright as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and bring some
Samuel.
We need pace inside.
Well, he's Ezzy's best mate from school.
Yes, that's
right.
So, they're apparently in cahoots. They're like massive mates. So
and that always
might
helps.
be something you can bring them together.
And Shadipu as well. I watched on the internet. I watched the Coventry game, and
he tore him to shreds, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he looked great.
I think is he still playing for the Ireland under 21s?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he was. He's a decent player. Right, obviously the wrong Ireland. Only joking, Neil. Only joking.
Actually, Stuart, your R's end perfectly segues into mine, and these are my notes here. So I
He's
took a look at
notes.
Yeah. Exactly. So I actually looked at.
I think a guy makes it or something.
Yeah. I took a look at all the players who were under 22 who were on our squad. Samuel, who have played either in a League Cup match or in the championship for us.
Professional game. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So Samuel, Manning, Furlong, Shadipo, Goss, Grego Cox, Kakai, Hamalainen, Chair, and Petrasso. This season in the league, they've played a combined 720 minutes. Just to give you a comparison as to how little that is, Neda Manua has played 600 minutes, and he hasn't played since September 12th. So we've basically not used any of these young players at all, which is a total joke. And I look at what are we going to get from this season? This is really just a consolidation season. We're definitely not going up, and we're most likely not going down. So why aren't these kids playing? These kids are going to be the future. And I look at yesterday's situation where you have Lualua, who's not coming back to the club.
Waste.
We know he's gone in January. I know he has his own personal issues. That's really, really sad. But, we also have to think about the long-term interests of the club. And Lualua is not going to be here on January 5th or whatever. So when you have Ilias Chair on the bench, why is he not playing?
Good
and
player.
that I look at the situation. If I'm Chris Paul or if I'm, the American center back, what motivates me to even come in and try when we have 6 or 7 center backs out and these guys can't even make the bench? What motivates them to keep on trying? And this is what's going to happen. All these players are going to stop caring because they're just never going to get an opportunity to even sit on the bench. So this needs to change. We really need to start getting these players involved because I look at what Southgate did with England and I'm very cynical, and I think that the reason he played all the young people was to distract the media from how shit the team normally would have been if he had just played the normal players. So he played a bunch of guys who will never play. But if all he wants to distract the fans, give us some of these young players. We will be delighted if I saw Chair play even 20 minutes. Think about how much that would motivate all the other young kids in the academy.
The first time I saw him was pre-season at Peterborough.
He was good.
Yeah, he
And
could
Chair
play.
looked the part.
And why is
he
the-
was there with Ariel, and the pair of them were right. That fourth period, because they played 4 halves, and they were magnificent.
Agreed. And the one other thing, Freeman's out for this Saturday's game, I think,
suspended.
with the
He's
yellow
suspended.
card.
is he?
Yeah, he is,
So
yeah.
maybe this is the chance for someone to play. But we're going to come to a point where if Baptiste gets injured, we have no other backup center back, and none of these young kids have the experience. And at some point, they're going to have to get out there and prove themselves, and we need to give them an opportunity to actually
Just
play.
like watching Clint Hill.
Joe, ours end.
I haven't got one, Paul. I've just not thought of anything at all. But
You haven't had anyone famous about your cab or something?
no, nothing about the cab. The cab's just there. Well, every cab driver in London supports a football team, virtually everyone, and there's banter every day. So I'm looking for the Brentford boys. I'm looking. There's not many of them out there. There are one or two. I'm looking for them. Their manager, Dean Smith. Yeah, it doesn't matter what his name is. To him, walking down the middle of the road, that is life's highway. He doesn't stroll to the left. He doesn't stroll to the right. But not Ian Holloway. The edge of the cliff is where you find Ollie. Not dreaming of dreams, but taking all the risks.
Wow.
Very poetic. I like that.
There's a blockbuster if I've ever heard one. Right, my ours ends, and I'll do this very quickly because it's very sombre, of course, because we've had a few weird and horrible things happening. My condolences to the Jason Isaacs family. Horrible. Can't imagine what you guys are going through, but the QPR fans with you. It's horrible, and it's too much of it. And I hope you get justice. It'll never make anything all right, and I'm deeply sorry for your loss, as we all are. I'm sure I speak for all of us when we say that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Also, Chris Wells was buried today. Lifelong QPR fan from
God
back
bless
in the day. This is real. This is we moan about Holloway having a go at us. We moan about 90 minutes not playing well, then 2 minutes of ecstasy. These people have never come back to our home, and I just like to wish their families all the best, both of them, and hopefully they'll be okay. On a positive note, with dealing with what they're going through, we spoke a wee while ago about Anthony Ryan, who had a massive illness, was in intensive care, was in a coma. He only went and came back against Aston Villa, and he's walking and talking and on the road to recovery. Well done. I know his dad really well. He's a lovely fella, and I'm just so chuffed for the family. With that, I'm going to go now on to predictions.
Before, just on another positive note, the interview last week with
Oh,
James
yeah,
was
unbelievable.
That young fella is really
I don't
brilliant
think
guy.
he knows how inspirational he is.
Yeah.
He's sat where you're sitting. And
amazing.
So I'm pointing to
Yeah.
Stuart, you can't see because obviously it's audio. And he was totally just like, why is my mate speaking about me, at the end of the day? And when he told his story, you're just sitting there absolutely in awe of what he was saying. Young life, but he's come through a lot, such an early age. And I tell you what, not only about his life story, tactically, brilliant.
Very clever. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was one of the podcasts where I didn't say much for a change because I could actually sit down and just listen to someone and be, wow, this is brilliant.
As opposed to, what are you saying about us?
You what?
I know you're great. Jesus. You're getting as sensitive as a certain manager. Geez, wow. All right, Preston, Joe. What are you thinking?
Yeah,
I know you said a draw earlier on, but do you think we can go up there and get this monkey off our back?
It would be nice because Birmingham was the last away win, and it's
in
too
style.
long. It'd take a lot of pressure off of Ollie. I don't think he feels the pressure. I just the old saying, he goes with the flow. I'm still going to stick with me 1-1.
All right. Rahul.
Why not 3-0 QPR?
Yeah?
Yeah.
You reckon it's going to be this is like going to be from last night, the Phoenix will come out of the flames.
Yeah, I
and
think
just go
we'll
there
win and then we'll
do it.
lose the next one and then win and then lose
Yeah,
the
you're
next
right.
one.
Don't continue. Just go with the win. Go with the win. Because the next one's Leeds. I hate Leeds. I hate everyone actually.
We'll do them.
After your last
Dirty Leeds.
Stay
It's on the
away from
cards.
most of the
He's
vote
so
for the
angry.
Leeds.
His face, I love
Right,
it.
go on, Stuart.
I'm going with Joe. I'm going 1-1, but I'm going to be more precise. I'm saying we're going to score after 12 minutes. The home fans are going to be incredibly irritated, and then we're just going to collapse in the last 10 minutes and give away an 85th minute goal, and it's going to be scored by Jordan Hugill, and it'll be from a corner.
Well, I'm not going to talk about myself as a third person because I think people do that are weird. I think we will get something, but it'll probably be a point, which is how we're going this season. And I think our win, funny enough, will come at Birmingham. I've got a funny feeling.
In what year?
I'm not being drawn in such issues, Rahul, because and I'll stay for the whole game this time. And I'd like.
Gotta let it go, Paul. Let it go, mate.
I would also like to thank all the Brentford fans last night. You made me laugh so much at the end. Seeing their little faces as they walked down the road, their chins were hitting the floor and their arses were in the ground. It was superb. And that's what you live for in football. You live for the comebacks. You live for the games against Port Vale. You live for the game. Well, Port Vale twice, actually, wasn't it? Away at their place and at Loftus Road. You live for these games. And these are what we grasp. This is what being a supporter is all about. And we are great supporters. I would like to say that. I know people slag our fan base off, and I do sometimes as well. But we have got the best community ever. And people like James proved that. What the community guys do every weekend, they prove that. So with that in mind, I will wrap up the podcast. Joe, you will be on again. It has been an absolute... I don't know why we haven't
Cheers,
had you on
fella.
today.
Cheers.
Bit of a strange little thing at the end there, you said, but we'll just ignore that. And hopefully Fraser will be phoning me tomorrow going,
Watershed, that one.
that'll be explicit, and it's not you, so you've got me off the hook, so I do appreciate it. Rahul, as always, thanks for coming on, and despite what some people might say on Messi Sports, I think you've got a great voice and a great insight into football, and thank you for coming along.
He's top man.
He is, isn't he?
Top man.
He's a sound fellow. They take the mick out of his voice a bit sometimes, but they take the mick out of mine.
Hey, listen, look, it's been emotional, lads.
Stuart, a wonderful debut like Joe. You'll be welcome anytime again.
Thank
you. Great. I enjoyed this week's podcast. Last week was different. I think we've exercised a few goats tonight. We can go to pressing.
Goats.
I said goats.
And also, Finney also said humility, I think.
Yeah.
Humblishness or something.
Humblishness, yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
I may have many issues, but
Panto
I certainly
season,
haven't
yeah.
got one of them speech problems with the da-da. Right? This is just like picking the little Irish fella, isn't it? Yeah,
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, medium height, actually. I would like to dedicate this podcast to Chris Wells and Jason Isaacs. God rest your souls. Come on, you Oz.
QPR, Brisbane Rangers are on the up and up. QPR,